All right, let's move. All right. So ETFs are also set, like I said, sector specific, allowing investors to invest in companies that are leading their respective fields. So we don't even have to complicate this, right? Here
Yes,
are
keep
your
it
11
simple.
sectors.
Write
These are the
this down,
sectors.
screenshot them. Yes.
Here they are: information technology, healthcare, financials, communication services, consumer discretionary, industrials, consumer staples, energy, utilities, real estate, and that's all of them, right? So that's it. Now, where can you find all of these sectors? Well, I put it right here in Magda. We'll put this in the chat for them as well. So ETFDB is a great place
Yeah, it's a
if
great
you're
site.
trying to find ETFs and you want to find their holdings and the history of them. Right. So it is a hyperlink, but we're going to put that in the chat for y'all. And so I did the first two for you because most of us have somewhat of an awareness or somewhat of notoriety inside of the world of technology. Since we talk about NVIDIA nearly every market Monday, since we talk about Apple and Microsoft and Google and Meta, this would be a good place to start. And so I put an
and it's
ETF
our number one export as a country too. We have to remember that too. For everyone who's like, which two? Lead with tech and healthcare, because those are our two biggest exports.
You like what I did there, right?
Yep, I see what you did.
Right. And inside of the S&P, when we talk about how it's weighted, 25% of the S&P is technology, right? But technically, we could say more of it, right? Because a lot of these healthcare companies have tech components inside of it. A lot of the consumer discretionary, some of the consumer staples have tech components inside of it.
They're tech enabled.
Like, right. So consumer discretionary, Amazon's inside of there, Tesla's inside of there. But are they really consumer discretionary or are they tech companies? They're really tech companies, but they put them inside of this sector. And so technology is throughout the entire S&P, but it does lead, right? And if we look at the wealthiest people in the world, they have a common denominator.
Yep.
Tech created a tech platform. All right. So here's what this looks like. All right. So when you go to ETFDB, right, and the search button, we're going to type in XLK. So XLK is the technology select spider fund. And the reason I chose that one is because I wanted you to see the holdings inside of it. Now, when Ian says 2 tech and 2 index, and you always ask, well, which 2 tech? I want you to look at the number 1 and 2 allocations inside of the spider fund.
Very simple.
Right?
And if I can give you a gem, even when XLK changed the allocation and made Microsoft number 1, that's them voting and saying Microsoft right now is a better company than Apple. You don't even have to guess.
Well, you say that again so they can hear that, please.
So when XLK changed and Microsoft became the number 1 holding, you can see it 23.4%, right? And Apple is number 2. That's them telling you Microsoft's a better company right now. Now, if Tim Cook comes and be the hero again, he finds Steve Jobs' idea book, Apple will go back to number 1. But you don't even have to guess which companies are leading the race because the funds are going to tell you by allocation. And if you look at some other funds too, when Tesla used to be number 1, now they're like 9th. So if you look at that leaderboard, they'll tell you one by one which company is better.
I think that's exactly how we should look at it. Look at the leaderboard, right?
Yep.
And so if this is, I know like the Masters started today. Well, who's at the top of the leaderboard, right?
Clearly
and there were
Microsoft,
for a time, right? There's been times when Apple was 25% of the allocation inside of this ETF, right? And as you can see now, it's pulled back to 19%. Yep. Microsoft has pulled ahead. You're starting to see Broadcom, which was probably at 1% at one time. But if you look at the pace of Broadcom over the past year, maybe 16 to 18 months, that stock has soared. And so you're starting to see some of these other companies, the allocation is getting reset. And so when we're trying to find 2 tech to invest in,
you don't have to listen to me. Listen to what the funds do.
Follow the money.
Please. That's the biggest. Follow where they're putting the money. Also, too, I know I pick on IBM and Intel a lot. Look at where they are on the leaderboard. Very bottom.
There's a
soon
reason.
To be gone. Yes, there is a reason.
I
know they got the crypto project coming out. Just follow where the money is putting their money.
Right. Just follow. Right. You don't. If you're a beginner investor, right, this is not the time to say, hey, we should go with Intel because I see something on the horizon 5 to 10 years from now. Right. Let's look at where the money is going right now, and we have an opportunity to invest. So are these 2 companies at the top of the leaderboard going anywhere anytime soon? No way. And so when we're looking at 2 tech, here go your 2 tech. Now, if that changes, right, we're going to have to come on Market Mondays. We're going to have to start saying some things about.
And I'll clearly say
and we will, right? There's no loyalty to any of these companies. We're just looking for great investments. And so this is a good way to find those pieces on top of the table, right? Like if this was like dinner, right? We got the table built. Now what pieces are we adding to it? And so I'm looking inside of the technology sector. Here go two great pieces: Microsoft, Apple. I might even go to 3 and 4, right? Because Broadcom is great, and you see Nvidia's down there. Now, somebody's gonna say, well, why is Nvidia at 4? Well, Nvidia is in the tech sector, but there are other funds where they're weighted a lot heavier.
Absolutely.
Right. And so SMH, which would be a semiconductor fund for bandwidth, they're going to have 25% allocation. So you can find higher allocations for some of these companies that would fit in a different kind of subsector for the semiconductors. All right. So that's technology. Let's go to the second one that we talked about, right? Healthcare. So the ticker there is XLV. This again is the Spider Fund. Shout out to everybody that is at VanEck and that is at Vanguard and is at BlackRock. Forgive me. I'm just using this as an example for the people that are watching. All right. But there's a company, if you look at number 1, that Ian, you are constantly talking about.
My baby, love of my life.
Right.
Eli Lilly. Yes.
You see it. Right. And so now when we're trying to find companies, it's not like we're just saying these things. No, we're actually following where the money is going. And so if this fund has an allocation of 100% and the largest allocation is going to Eli Lilly, there's a reason, right? Because they're probably leading the healthcare space. And you can see that. What we got at number 2, United Health. These are like, these are these age-old companies, right? Johnson & Johnson. You're starting to see Merck. There goes one of my favorites. Now that during the pandemic, I think that's number, what is that, 6? Thermo Fisher.
Yeah, that was one of your babies.
This is one of my, it's a great stock. But here's the biggest thing that I want you to see, right? Let's say you didn't know any of these companies. You just knew Eli Lilly. This holdings, like 15 different companies, they now give you an opportunity to research and go find out information about them, right? So when I was looking at this, I said, healthcare, I've never heard of Thermo Fisher. This is about 4 or 5 years ago. Wait, I got to do the research on them. When I started doing the research on them, I figure out, hey, there's a vaccine that's coming. The vaccine needs to be put inside of some type of container to protect it and ship it. Who makes that? Oh, Thermo Fisher makes that, right? So if they're going to ship vaccines across the world and everybody has to have them, this company is going to be vital in that process. And it absolutely was. And they, if you look at their charts since 2020, you can see the response that the company had to the pandemic. So this is another way to find companies that you may not be familiar with, but you can see that the money is being moved to them. So those are 2 sectors right there: healthcare and technology.
And if you wanted to, you guys can just take the top one out of tech and the top one out of healthcare. And if those ever change, you can always change the allocation and you can use them for your options as well.